Please. So, hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar. I think it's the second of this year, Killing the Blank Page. I'm Milan Günther. I'm president of the Intersection Group. And with me, I have Russell. Hey, Russell.
Hello, my name is Russell Blair. I am a solution architect at Qualiware, and I have been working with Milan to get you this presentation and the AI implementation we have. Hello, everyone.
Yes, thank you. So today we will talk about EDGY, of course. As you know, at Intersection Group, we are all about EDGY, and we are quite happy to have a very long-standing partnership with Qualiware as one of the leading tools in the architecture space, also expanding into other spaces, supporting the language. But today we are looking at this in combination with AI, and in particular related to this moment that we all know if we are designers, architects, consultants, which is, you get into, for example, a new project or a new job, a new environment. Maybe it's in a domain that you don't really know, and you have the first meeting coming up, and maybe they send you a huge pile of documentation and things and requirements and whatnot, and you get a bit overwhelmed, and you're supposed to create something, and you have this blank page in front of you, and you're like, okay, what do I do? And we think that we can leverage AI, in particular generative AI, in combination with a language like EDGY to overcome this moment and to kill this blank page moment by coming up with something. But what do you want to create? So when we talk about enterprise design, EDGY is a tool for enterprise design, an open source tool. So we are designing something, and we believe that the best way to start design or defining design challenges is to start at the customer or at the user, or whoever you want to design for. So maybe you want to do something to help people do their laundry, or getting a pet, or file their taxes, or finding love, or traveling. At Intersection Group, our examples in EDGY are mostly about a railway company, so it's about traveling. And what we want to do today is not only show you some slides, but we also want to use the combination of Qualiware and a large language model in action. So one question for you: if you have any customer tasks in mind that you want us to play around with, anything that is similar to the stuff on the left, please just write it in the chat. It's really an open prompt. It can be anything from your private life, from your professional life. Maybe you want to get a hot dog, or implement an ERP system, or be compliant, or change your career, or whatever it is. Let's collect some customer tasks that we can use later to challenge our AI. For example, one task that we are having today, or trying to solve today, is running a webinar. And these tasks, they often seem quite simple. And by the way, in EDGY, we call them tasks. You can also maybe call them jobs to be done, if you're familiar with that. So really, from the customer perspective, what do they want to do? And then you see that what we think at Intersection Group is that it's good to define these tasks in simple terms from the customer perspective. Like, yes, I want to do laundry, but behind there are enterprise design challenges hiding. Because if you want to actually address this task, you want to help someone doing their laundry, what do we have to do? Well, we have to develop an innovative laundry service, maybe for busy people. And this comes with a whole lot of questions: where, when, what do we need, how do we operate, where do we market, what do we call it ourselves, and so on. How do we find customers? Similar to getting a pet, well, maybe we want to find the best animal companion for someone we know. Maybe that's the task. Or we want to actually make the task almost disappear. And no one really wants to file their taxes, but you have to. So if in this case, the less interactions, the better. Finding a life partner, if we do this one, if we are successful, we lose our customer, right? It's a bit of a conundrum for these dating apps. And yeah, so this is where we get into EDGY. EDGY helps us navigate this complexity. We have a customer task, seemingly simple, but behind that, we have to organize our teams. We have to agree on a certain purpose. We have to develop a product. We have to develop capabilities to make this product happen, and so on. So this is what EDGY is about, helping people navigate this and visualize and understand each other when it comes to enterprise design challenges. And these challenges are sort of unique compared to, let's say, building a table or your patio, because they involve the enterprise as fabric, and enterprises are different as a subject matter to design, because first of all, there's a lot of what we call dark matter, right? So things that you can't see, they are there, but they are there. Yeah, so they are there. You can't see them. This is actually an attempt to visualize dark matter, which is not possible. But yeah, you have all the processes, the IT systems, the rules, the regulations, the organizational politics, the ecosystem complexity, and you have to design with this, even though it might not be actually visible in the product. And to do so, you also have to deal with this good old silos, right? So different parts of caring about the enterprise reside in different teams and different units. Like maybe tasks is actually something that the product and marketing team is really caring about, while the IT systems are, well, in the IT department, the organization is in the HR department, and so on and so on. And we have to bridge these, and we have to somehow make them work together. And we have to deal with domain complexity. So this is just one example of a complex domain that I found, which is modular synth. It's the second time I saw so many buttons after working with Boeing on flight decks. So pilots and synth musicians have a lot of buttons to deal with. And as a designer dealing with this environment, we have to kind of understand this domain complexity to a certain degree and deal with it. And this is also something where AI can help us because it has read a lot of things that we haven't. So yeah, we think AI and in combination with EDGY is really well suited to deal with enterprise design challenges. And just to show you how EDGY works, this is now how we define a enterprise design challenge in EDGY with the EDGY elements. So we have a person here. The most important element in EDGY is people. So let's say this is a business traveler and they want to travel for work. That's just a task, like the task that we've shown before. It's not from the perspective from the enterprise. It doesn't say we want to transport people. It says, I want to travel for work. It's a task that about this person, a business traveler, our customer. And they have a journey. They have to reserve this, make a reservation for a train. And we have a product, which is good for us. We have a high-speed train product that serves this task of traveling for work. And it turns out our customer is not even using our website, but a third-party app. Maybe in the UK, something like Trainline, or different, like not our own app as Intersection Railways. So we have to deal with that somehow. And so in order to do that, in order to sell tickets to this high-speed train to serve this task, traveling to work on the journey via the third-party app, we need to establish what? We need to establish a capability, digital sales channels. And who's doing this? Our organization, the sales team. And it requires some other stuff, like some assets, like a CRM application, a process of partner onboarding, because this third-party channel, this app is actually a partner that we need to sell tickets through. And then we have another process called issuing digital tickets. And we do all of this. Why? Maybe we want to pursue a purpose, like we want to make this very comfortable and convenient. So not a lot of clicks, very easy. And then also the journey itself, very comfortable and convenient. So this is a purpose that we pursue while we are designing the system to serve our customer task. And so you see here how EDGY helps us navigate a challenge, right? So we have a task from our customer and their journey and their channel, and we develop some product. And in order to develop that product, we have to go into our architecture, make available these capabilities, these assets, and these processes. In order to do that, we need to organize. And why do we organize? In order to implement our purpose, like getting people comfortably and conveniently from A to B, which is our story. And if all of this works really, really well, and our passengers are actually experiencing this, we have a positive brand experience and brand image. And this is how EDGY works. If everything works together and if everything is balanced, then you have a good enterprise design. So how can we combine this with a solution like Qualiware, which is a semantic repository for models like this, like elements and relations, and a large language model? And this is where I hand over to Russell.
All right. First, why a semantic repository? I think to answer this question, we need to talk a little bit about the AI itself. And I usually say that we should use the AI as a tool, not the answer. But I would also like to keep in mind that it can be used as both. It's all about what answer are you looking for? And in this case, if you don't need a correct answer, maybe just an answer, then the AI is fine. But I would like to have people keep in mind to try to use it as a tool with a human interaction and not an answer. And I also like to point out that the things I say now could be wrong tomorrow, because the development of AI is such a new field still, and we're seeing so big and drastic changes in the AI and its capabilities that what is truth today could be false tomorrow. So it's all about keeping up with the current capabilities of the AIs and figuring out where you can use them. And I say you will see AI more and more places, and you will use AI more and more as years go by. But there'll also be this phenomenon where you notice it less and less. So it'll be a more integrated but silent part of systems and programs and everything all around the world. And a lot of people are hesitant to use AI in, can we trust AI answers? Are they correct? And I think it's a hard question to answer, but a little thought exercise would be you could have yourself and ask yourself the question is, can I trust an AI answer more than a Google search? As a lot of people ask. And my answer to that would be, is a collective answer of the internet, this AI trained model, less correct than a single source of knowledge? And this could be wrong and right in different ways. So, for example, a single source could be a trusted source. It could be a not trusted source. That would sway the answer. And I think most people's biggest problem with AI is the clarity of source, because most of the time when AI is not it's not retrieving any information from anywhere, it's just using its general knowledge. It doesn't really have a source, because the only source it knows is its neural network, which is just its knowledge. And I'll talk more about this, but this also shows and tells a little bit about the importance of human grounded input into AI. And if we go to the next slide, then I have a little visualization here of AI and the repository, or what I'd like to call a knowledge base. A knowledge base can be many things, but it really goes down to that it's a program, a place, a database somewhere with a lot of knowledge. And AI works very well with knowledge bases. And I'll talk a little bit about how you can use AI with knowledge bases. So one way to use AI with knowledge bases is in the creation of content based on existing content. So you have a huge knowledge base with a lot of content, and you want to create new content. It can then use this old content as context, creating new content. And this will make the process of creating new content a lot easier, because the AI has access to the entire knowledge base, and the human only has access to what it remembers or it has access to. and the AI is a lot better at reading data than humans are. This is the reason why we create visualizations and diagrams as we do in EDGY. It's for us to easier see knowledge and understand it. One thing an AI also can do is, in the process of creating new knowledge, it improves the knowledge base, which in turn creates this circular process where it's improving and adding to the knowledge of the knowledge base, and then using this knowledge to create more. This is very good in many ways, but it can also create some trouble or a phenomenon. This phenomenon, I think, is as we use more and more AI in the world, will become more and more prevalent, and we have yet to see the downsides of this phenomenon, but I think we also know how to steer away from this phenomenon. I call it the AI synthetic drift, and it's the drift from the truth. So we're seeing that more and more content in knowledge bases, the internet, forums, anywhere where we look for data or knowledge, more and more content is being AI generated. And how an AI trains is it trains on content like this, or it uses this as context for creating the next thing. So we can have this circular thing where it keeps training on stuff it's created itself, and it can then start to drift. It says something wrong one time, and it'll say it again the next time, and then maybe the third time it'll go even further, because if it knows this from the truth, then it'll create some crazy story. It's kind of like an AI game of telephone. And this is why we see the importance of human intervention or human grounded input in every step of the AI, or at least in some of the steps of the AI, so we can steer away from this drift where a human can pick off and say, this is not the truth. And then we can have some more trusted data in the world, or even trusted knowledge. But to go back to the knowledge bases, is that we've had knowledge bases for many, many, many years. And I'm sure you all interact with some kind of knowledge base each day, maybe without thinking it. But it's, any data we have that could be knowledge for any person we have. And so we have all these knowledge bases in the world, and I think AI is going to be, this AI implementation is ripe for the taking, where it can use all these knowledge bases. So we're not creating all these knowledge bases now that we have this AI, but we're using existing infrastructure that's been in the world. And if we go to the next slide, I will talk a little bit about what I call the knowledge sharing journey. And the knowledge sharing journey is, we have the first step, which is actually the human. And it's a human that wants to tell you something. It's a human that is knowledgeable. It's a human that knows something. And this human will go to this knowledge base and share or create something that can tell this information, or it can portray this knowledge he has. And we have the next step, which is analyzing, improving. We now have the knowledge. It's a tangible thing. It's some kind of data in some kind of system. We can now analyze and improve this situation. We can create visualizations from it. We can improve upon this information we have, make it better, cross-check it with other sources of data. We then have the last part, which is the consumption of this data. And the last person, which is a person that needs to know something. The person who consumes this knowledge and maybe has a question or has a problem he or she needs solving. And you'll find this knowledge sharing journey in any knowledge product in the world. For example, Qualiware, which is an EA tool, or any type of knowledge program in the world. And I think AI can help at every step in this knowledge sharing journey. And this is the model we come back to a lot when thinking about new stuff to make for AI and how can we help this knowledge sharing journey. If we go to the next slide, then you can see this very fine image. And this is actually an image created by AI. Not originally. I had an image that looked a little bit like this, but I wanted to change its colors. So I used the AI and I said, can you give me some more edgy colors on this box here? And it did a very good job. One thing it didn't do well is that the whole idea of this image is it's the metaphor of trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. And funnily enough, in this image, the square peg very much fits in the round hole. And the whole idea of this metaphor is that it probably doesn't. So I think I used the picture because I think it's a cool way of showing how AI exactly is a tool. And I didn't tell it, I didn't inform it, it didn't have the context of the metaphor it was trying to portray. So it made a mistake and it created something that was in a way wrong. And this is all about knowing how to use AI, but let's talk a little bit about what the image is trying to say. So this is all about capabilities and value creation. So when I say capabilities, it's all about figuring out the capabilities of the AI. And this is something I would like people to do if they want to use AI or want to create something with AI or even understand how to use the AI. You first need to figure out the capabilities of the AI. And this is done by using it, reading up on it, coming to very cool presentations from EDGY and hearing all about it. All of these things can help you figure out the capabilities of an AI. And when you have this information and you have this knowledge of the AI, you can then look for value creation. Where can these capabilities create value in what I'm trying to do? Am I trying to create some content? Am I trying to understand something? Am I trying to create something? All of this, and if we go to the next slide, we can see a little bit more specific use case of this. So we saw the capability of the AI understanding raw data in a way that a human can't. And we then saw that if we had this raw data and we turned it into a better understanding of this raw data than a human could, we could then use this capability, this which is now a knowledge of something, and we could make it create something for it. And in our specific case, we thought, well, let's try to make some diagrams. And if we go to the next slide, then we can see what we've actually created. So we call it the Quali AI. And it's in the knowledge sharing journey, it hits on the sharing and creation of knowledge. And it can take context in a repository, in the knowledge base of QualiWare, and create diagrams. It can also take text inputs that you put in the input field right here and create diagrams. So a context of any kind really here. And it then generates edgy diagrams, as you can see. So for this specific example I'm showing you here, I've written create a task map of what to do when planning a trip to Hawaii with the family. And it's created this little diagram here. And Milan will talk more about this, but it is both wrong and right. But this is all part of, killing the blank page. And this is, we'll show you more of this later. And I think Milan will talk about that now.
Yeah, thanks, Russell. So this is actually a screenshot from one of our earlier integration attempts. So you see here, task map is written wrong, and we don't really give it a lot of information. and then it produced this. And you see here, if you know EDGY, you will know that this diagram is not correct, because in a tree relationship, you can't really have this line here or these lines. Also, why would tasks decompose in only one child? You know, like a lot of stuff that is not really EDGY and really missing the point, but it made a task model, a task map, where you decide on travel dates, where you research accommodations, where you look at options, you look at attractions, you take a flight. But yeah, so it's like for inspiration, not entirely bad. As EDGY content that you deliver, you know, and you try to save here in the repository, doesn't work. So we tweaked it, and we worked on the integration, and we worked on the prompts, and what I show you now is basically the next implementation, and what we think, what are the modes that you can use AI in combination with a tool like Qualiware, like a repository-based modeling tool, to kill the blank page. And so we will talk about 3 modes. One is what we call the jester. The jester is, you know, this role at the high court or at royal court, who can basically just say anything, even uncomfortable truth, without being hanged. For that, they have to wear these very funny clothes, and everything has to be a bit funny. But often the role is to say some uncomfortable truth, and they do that without any information. So the AI is very good at, you just throw something at it, and it will come up with some outrageous stuff that you can then use instead of the blank page to actually discuss anything you find important. The next mode is what we call the cyborg. So in that case, you really try to augment your brain and your human being with the AI's help. So you feed it a lot of information that you know is true and relevant, and you ask the right questions, and you try to, really make it an extension of your brain. And the last one is what we call the matrix. There we actually make use of several ways to look at the world and try to interconnect different takes on reality, and we use EDGY as a navigation tool between them. And the example I'm using today is deliberately light and a bit fun, but also a bit serious. So I don't know if you have ever seen a bird like this. It's called a hyacinth macaw. They are huge. They are 1 meter in total length. The last few days, there was a video circulating about one talking to an AI, actually. They can be pets, but you have to deal with a lot of things. Here, see, like on Instagram, you find a lot of them. And now let's pretend we want to buy one. Not saying you should, or I should, or anyone should. It's just an example. But you see here that there's a book about this task, which is Hyacinth macaw as a pet, pros and cons, care, housing, diet, and health. So you see already that there are some challenges in making such a giant bird actually happy. And we wanted to see, so if we just feed this task into our AI using Qualiware and EDGY prompting around it, what will it come up with? And would it help us compared to just coming up ourselves with a map of what this task entails? Okay, let's start really with the most obvious one, the jester. So we just tell the AI, okay, I want to buy this giant bird, make a task map. And it comes up with this. So top task or the home like root task is we want to buy a hyacinth macaw. Okay, so we have to research ownership, assess time commitment, explore the species, secure financial resources. So it knows it's expensive, actually. It is. It costs a few $1,000. Evaluate your budget, find funding resources, find a reputable breeder. And this is also interesting because the reputation part, because we don't want a wildlife tech, because that's illegal. So it has to be a breeder that we trust. Prepare living environment, set up cage and play area, create a feeding schedule, also hinting at some challenges, understand legal requirements. So it actually also knows, all of this is without any input about this bird. It knows that we might need a permit for it, depending on the country, and learn how to care for the bird. So we were actually surprised, like this task map for a jester is surprisingly good and actually pointing at some uncomfortable truth. If, for example, your kid asks you to buy one of these birds, you're like, whew, this is kind of a big deal. Let's see. What if we go one step further and we now switch to the cyborg? So now we give our AI the same. So we still want to buy a hyacinth macaw, but we give it additional input. So we have here in EDGY a journey map that we made ourselves. So we have a desire for the bird, we research it, we make an informed choice, we find, we took here the reputable breeder, we visit the breeder, we prepare for the bird's arrival, we bring it home, we bond with the bird, we deal with challenges, and we enjoy life. Great. And additionally, we've had something that could come from a user or customer interview or any kind of qualitative research. So talking to people who have this bird, who want this bird, like, yeah, it needs a lot of space, it needs to fly, there needs to be daily interaction, they are very loud, you have to deal with that. The proper diet is also expensive, it will go to the vet, it can live for over 50 years. There might be behavioral problems that you might need to deal with. The cage has to be, like you have seen maybe the beak. You can't travel as much as easily. So, okay, let's feed all of this insight that is actually coming from humans through proper research into the machine and see what it comes up with. And it makes, again, a task map. So we still want to buy a hyacinth macaw. And now you find it shifted a little bit what it thinks we need to do. We need to understand the needs. So it starts, you see, it reflects a little bit more the journey that we fed into it. Evaluate space requirements, ensure social interaction is part of understanding the needs. So do we actually have enough time to play with the bird and to just, deal with the noise? Prepare living environment. So some of these tasks are just literally the same as the journey steps. Manage the health, address behavioral challenges, prevent biting, mitigate screaming. It kind of assumes, I've seen these birds several times, and it's not a given that they start behavioral problems and screaming, but the AI is kind of going there, saying, okay, we have to anticipate that, and we have to plan this long-term commitment, understand the lifespan implications, and plan for future care. So you see how it took the information and integrated it into the model, which I think can be useful if you have this kind of situation as a designer. Maybe you're not a bird person, and so you don't have this knowledge, and you can feed it this as an input, and you can also feed it, as we did here, other maps and models that you store in the repository as an input. But what if we extend on this and we go full matrix? So now we are actually making use of EDGY as a way to reframe the perspective on this task, and we go into the enterprise design. So what would it take to design an enterprise to serve this need, to serve this customer task that we have identified? Because we know people want to buy these birds. So we go from task to product, and we ask, make a product portfolio, make a product map to address these tasks. And it says, okay, we have a parrot care services product. We have behavioral training programs with educational workshops and interactive play sessions. We have nutritional planning services with customized feed formulations. We have habitat setup and maintenance services. We clean it. We have veterinary care and coordination. We have parrot acquisition consultancy. We make some toys, and we make some supply kits. And you see it came up with this product portfolio if we wanted to design an enterprise that serves these these prospective or current parrot owners. Now, let's take the next step and say, well, if we want to build this company, we need to create capabilities, right? So we need to develop capabilities, build capabilities to design and build these products. So ask the AI, make a capability map to create these products. And what we can do, as Russell was indicating before, we can feed the existing knowledge, maybe even after correcting them by reviewing it with experts and stakeholders in our enterprise. We can feed them as input and then ask it to change perspective. And so, yeah, now basically thinking like an enterprise architect, shifting from a customer researcher to a product designer or developer to an enterprise business architect, saying, okay, what are the capabilities that we need for this? Okay, so we have our Parrot Care Enterprise, and in there we have to have customer engagement, including customer education and support, product development, service provision, health and training services, operational excellence, like supply chain management and quality assurance, marketing and sales, customer outreach, and sales strategy. Now, what I found really interesting here is that these services are actually designed to create the products and the product portfolio that we asked for creating earlier, but you don't really see anymore, except in the very root, that it is a Parrot Care enterprise, which is honestly, it's one of the problems I have with many capability maps. Like I look at them and I'm like, what is this enterprise doing? I don't know, right? So I would now start tweaking this capability map and ask it like to better represent the products and the nature of the business that we are doing. But it looks more or less like many capability maps that we see in the wild, and that's basically what we were going for, right? So we introduce the perspective, the bias, the role, the turf in the enterprise, the purview, the silo of these roles of the architect, the product, the marketing people, and try to make our AI fill the blank page, fill the model with something that we can work with, and that we can then show in meetings with people who actually know what's going on and say, is this correct? No? Great. Let's correct it together and let's get to the truth, which is one of the main uses we found for AI in this enterprise design business. Okay, final step that we asked now to go a little bit further in the EDGY facet and element model. Now we asked it to design a global agile, you could say a global agile organization to realize our capabilities. And so here we go. We have our global Parrot service headquarters, global marketing and sales division, regional headquarters, Europe, Asia, America, marketing, operations. For some reason, Asia doesn't have marketing, has instead outreach. America has a strategy team, the others don't. So you see the global kind of pulled it into, I need to bring in all these regions and all these geographical dimension, which is fair. A lot of org charts actually look like this, and a lot of org charts have this disparities. And the question now is, what should be global, what should be regional, what should be local for a global Parrot service company? And all these are valid questions, right? So it makes up something. It comes up with this org chart. I've seen worse org chart in reality. And so again, we can take this and say, well, yeah, this is actually not at all what we need. Why? And what do we need? Yeah, and so this is how we use it. We think having a tool like this at hand is easier in many cases than having this, right? So we think it's an effective way to kill the blank page. It does not replace the designer, the architect. It does not replace cross-functional collaboration, and it produces wrong but interesting things. And yeah, the way we often use it is also to introduce bias that is maybe missing at our table. So what if you have a design or product or service experience kind of heavy project, like you want to design some product and service and you have a focus on customer user experience, and you want to know what are the capabilities, what is the architecture, what is the organization that we need, and who do we need to talk to. But you are in your silo. So those people are not at the table. You can ask our AI friend to just come up with something and then send it to them and say, is this correct? And they say, no. And why didn't you invite us? And then you have them at the table. You can do the same if you have a room full of architects and analysts and they really would like for some process change that they are planning, what is the impact on the customer journey, the customer experience? Is there maybe some opportunity to not only make things more efficient internally, but actually improve something for our customer? But again, they are not at the table. So you can have it make up a journey map that fits to your, like somehow is connected to your customer in the matrix mode. And then it's completely wrong, maybe. And you send it over to the customer experience team and they will be like, what? No, we have the correct one here. Let us show you. So that's something that actually works in reality. I've tried it now several times. Anyway, just before we close, all of this is part of EDGY, an open source tool for enterprise design. You can get it on enterprise.design. And now we can have a look at some maps based on the task diagram that you submitted. They were quite curious, I have to say. So what do we have? I would even say moving your keyboard without locking a screen is a task. Okay, here we go. What did we say? AIP. So let's start with the 24/7 support. So we have receiving technical support for a product issue, identify the issue, diagnose the problem, gather product information, check for updates. Contact support. Choose the contact method. This is very... I just went through this with Microsoft. I did not have the choice to choose my contact method. I had to call them, which I found quite archaic. Understand support options, tiers, levels, packages, okay. Know the hours, also was a problem I had. And here you see it still, despite all our prompting, makes some mistake again and again, which is having a task with only one child, which is in EDGY like a bit pointless, because if you have only one child, then the whole tree relationship doesn't really make sense. But what is nice is... oh, it doesn't do that anymore. Never mind. So that was the first one. Okay. Ivan, that's for you. Establishing a governance group. Here's what you need to do. You have to define the objectives, set goals and metrics, integrate with existing systems, facilitate cross-department collaboration. Well, that's what we talk about. Align with the strategy, identify key stakeholders, engage with the departments, identify document needs, develop the framework, define roles and responsibilities, create policies and procedures, success metrics, compliance with standards, establish communication channels. You have apparently to train people, including resources for curation and review protocols, feedback mechanisms, and then you have to monitor and evaluate. And I think finally, we have one bonus. Oh, now I've lost my task maps. by the way. Yeah, one of the biggest challenges doing this in a webinar is that the AI sometimes, depending on the model and what people are doing in the world, can take a while to produce. And so what do we have here? We have creating an AI presentation, right? This is what you did, Russell?
Yeah, I did a little one from our perspective. An interesting task for us. See if we followed every single point of this.
Yeah, let's see. We identified you people, our target demographics. We didn't go into the whole segmentation thing, I think, just informally. Interesting that we analyze feedback before we even start, right? Explore cultural influences. Okay, we research trends. We definitely did that. Competitor content is interesting. Keyword research. Then we generated ideas. I think we did. Brainstorming sessions, refine. Well, a little bit collaboration with expert. I think actually Russell is our expert here in the room for this kind of tool. We use creative tools.
We definitely did.
And outline the content. Okay. Develop a content framework. Oh, that's interesting. Draft initial content, write content, corporate visuals. Yes. Seek peer review. Yes. Refine and edit, revise, and proofread. Yes. Not bad to fight the blank page.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. So that's basically it for today. Do we have any questions about EDGY and AI and QualiWare?
How do you get information on QualiWare pricing? Your question
Nice.
is. All right. I can answer this one. You will just have to go to qualiware.com, and right there will be information on how to contact the sales division, and they'll handle that and be in contact with you that way. So yeah, directly find the QualiWare contact and call them, and they will let you know all about this. The next question is the notion of value represented somehow by EDGY? I think that's a question for you.
Yeah, you might have noticed that value is not in this model. So there's no element called value because we found that often the goal of EDGY is to make conversations easier. And we found that the notion of value sometimes does the opposite. So is the brand values or the corporate value the same as the value in value proposition, in value stream, in financial value statement, and so on and so on. So what EDGY does is so if you go enterprise.design/wiki/value, I hope it works. What it should do is direct you to the glossary, and there we say, okay, what we mean with value is the quality of being useful or important. So we defined it. Or a belief about what is right and wrong and what is important in life. Because in the end, in EDGY, we have a broad audience. We cannot take a narrow definition of these terms. And then we say in enterprises, value is created as intended outcomes. So what we then encourage you to do if you want to model values is to use the outcome element and say, okay, what does it mean as an outcome? What do you value? Is it financial value? Is it customer happiness? Is it is it a value in the sense that someone finds your products useful? Is it in the sense that employees want to or candidates want to become your employees? What do you mean? And then you can model that. And for Ivan, one thing I wanted to add to what Russell said is that we are kind of in a collaboration with Qualiware when it comes to experimenting with EDGY and repository-based tools. So if you're interested in joining in that, then just drop me a note, and we will make it happen.
Even as an independent.
Even as an independent, yeah, because the license model of Qualiware is not entirely optimized for individuals, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions? If not, thank you for joining today. I hope you found it interesting, and let us know your thoughts. Also, let us know if you happen to do any experiments with EDGY and AI. We are always keen to learn about people using it, also because, you know, as EDGY is open source, Creative Commons, you can use it without telling us. Please don't. Just tell us what you're doing so that we can collect cases. Also, I wanted to mention that the call for contributions for Intersection Conference is open. So if you have any kind of story to tell about our theme, which is, just sharing for 1 more second. So Intersection 25 will be in Brussels this year, 11th time. Our theme is Untangling the Mess Together. The call for contributions is open till 5th of May. And yeah, what you see here, one of the topics that we want to learn about is making enterprise information AI ready. We think what we have shown today is a little step in that direction, but also other things, because our theme is untangling the mess together. All right, that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you. Thank you for listening, everyone.
And hope to see you next time.